Time now for a fantasy football must-starts and must-sits for Week 13. With quarterbacks, the must-starts: Sam Darnold, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, Aaron Rodgers, and Josh Allen. Our success rate for quarterbacks, 67.9%. That's about 8.1 out of 12 that we get correct each week. And our sleeper of the week, Nick Foles. Last week was the first time that the Bucs held a quarterback to less than 17 fantasy points since Week 2. More than likely, last week was just an outlier, and the Bucs secondary is still one of the worst in football. Foles also has back-to-back games of over 47 pass attempts, so more opportunity for him to succeed. The must-sits: Jeff Driscoll, Baker Mayfield, Phillip Rivers, Jacoby Brissett, and Dwayne Haskins. And our bust of the week, Jimmy Garoppolo. The thing with Garoppolo is that he's had maybe 2 or 3 games this year where he looked like a franchise quarterback. He's good, but he hasn't proven to be consistently good. The Ravens have allowed only one quarterback this year to score more than 16 fantasy points, and that was Patrick Mahomes. Sit Jimmy G. Running backs, the must-starts: Phillip Lindsay, Damian Williams, Saquon Barkley. You would think that he's a must-start every week. He hasn't been himself recently, but start him this week against the Packers. Jonathan Williams and Josh Jacobs. Our success rate for running backs, 62.5%. That's about 7.5 out of 12 each week. And our sleeper of the week, Ronald Jones. It's pretty obvious at this point that Ronald Jones is the lead back in Tampa Bay. He'll be facing a Jaguars defense that has given up over 7 yards a carry to running backs in the last 2 weeks. The must-sits: Kadri Ollison, Raheem Mostert, Joe Mixon, Carlos Hyde, and Kalen Ballage. And our bust of the week, Kenyon Drake. Dude, I'm just as confused as you. I have no idea what's going on with the Cardinals' backfield. Cliff Kingsbury said that he'll take a committee approach, but Drake has emerged as a lead back. Still not sure if that's guaranteed, and even though the Ravens ran all over the Rams, it's hard to trust Drake because we really don't know who the lead back is going to be in Arizona. Wide receivers, the must-starts: DJ Chark, Adam Thielen. You may have forgotten about him. He might be coming back this Monday night against the Seahawks. Tyler Boyd, Alshon Jeffrey, and Devontae Parker. Our success rate for wide receivers, 56.6%. That's about 6.8 out of 12 each week. And our sleeper of the week, D.D. Westbrook. So we have 2 Jaguars receivers as must-starts. This could turn into a high-scoring game, and with the exception of Leonard Fournette, no one had more targets and receptions than D.D. Westbrook last week. I would be comfortable starting both Westbrook and Chark. The must-sits: Marvin Jones, Randall Cobb, Emmanuel Sanders, James Washington, and Mike Williams. And our bust of the week, Marquise Brown. Coming off a 2-touchdown game, Brown now faces arguably the best defense in football. Now, with Lamar Jackson in the mix, you would think that his receivers are matchup proof, but Marquise Brown has not scored more than 10 fantasy points against a top 10 defense this year. We're going to take a quick break to tell you about Overlay DFS. We've mentioned them the entire season, and this week will be pretty cool because they have a Thanksgiving Day lobby. 2 players are matched up, and you just predict who will have more fantasy points for that week. This Thursday's matchups include Dak Prescott versus Josh Allen, Tariq Cohen versus Bo Scarborough, Drew Brees versus Matt Ryan, and so many more. Right now, there are a couple jackpots of $2,900 and even $25,000. To sign up and start playing, download the app for iOS or click the link in the description. Go to www.overlaydfs.com. Alright, back to your starts and sits. For tight ends, the must-starts: Ryan Griffin, Kyle Rudolph, Gerald Everett, Eric Ebron, and Jacob Hollister. Our success rate for tight ends, 65.6%. That's about 7.9 out of 12 each week. And our sleeper of the week, Dallas Goedert. There's no reason for Goedert to be on the waivers. Even as a backup, Goedert has been averaging 6 targets a game in the last 6 games. Start Dallas Goedert against a bad Dolphins defense. The must-sits: Noah Fant, Jason Witten, Tyler Eifert, Jimmy Graham, and Mike Gesicki. And our bust of the week, Mark Andrews. Again, just like Marquise Brown, Lamar Jackson can't make Mark Andrews matchup proof. The 49ers have allowed just 2 touchdowns to tight ends this season and are allowing on average just 3 receptions a game to the position. Kickers, the must-starts: Josh Lambo, Mason Crosby, Greg Zuerlein, Jake Elliott, and Will Lutz. Our success rate for kickers, 65.6%. That's about 7.9 out of 12 each week. And our sleeper of the week, Michael Badgley. If you're searching for a permanent kicker for the rest of the season, Badgley could be your guy. He's probably on the waivers with his bye week, but given the matchups that he has for the rest of the season, he could be a top 10 kicker. The must-sits: Brandon McManus, Austin Seibert, Matt Gay, Kaimi Fairbairn, and Jason Myers. And our bust of the week, Chris Boswell. The Browns have allowed only one field goal in the last 3 games. Also take into consideration that Boswell did not convert a field goal against the Browns 2 weeks ago. He's a must-sit. Defense and special teams, the must-starts: the Chargers, Bears, Titans, Eagles, and the Panthers. Our success rate for defense, 60.7%, that's about 7.3 out of 12 each week. And our sleeper of the week, the Green Bay Packers. If you like to stream defenses, the Packers could be your defense for the next 3 weeks. They aren't as good as the first 3 games of the season, but in their defense, they haven't faced any bad offenses since then. The Packers are a good stash for the fantasy playoffs. The must-sits: the Chiefs, Vikings, Giants, Texans, and the Seahawks. And the bust of the week, the LA Rams. This year, the Rams are very average in almost every defensive category. The Cardinals are capable of driving the ball down the field, and Kyler Murray has thrown just 1 interception in the last 7 games. Not a good week for the Rams defense. As always, be sure to like this video and leave a comment down below with your fantasy football questions. The fantasy football playoffs are just around the corner. Some of you guys need this week to clinch a spot in the playoffs, so ask your questions. I try my absolute best to respond to you guys, but if I can't get to you, other people will help you out, and this is a fantasy football community where we help each other get to the fantasy playoffs. Also, be sure to hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. The username for all 3 is @TimeToFootball. And don't forget to hit up www.overlaydfs.com to play daily fantasy football. Make sure you guys join a lobby before this Thursday's games. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and best of luck in Week 13.